Hey everyone, welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game by criticizing current players. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Stacy, joined today by just one of the other Castaway Consultants, Derek Kubicek. Derek, how you doing?
I feel like I'm missing my left arm or my left eye or
my
left leg.
My ring finger left fingernail.
Ooh, yeah,
Specifically.
there you go.
Josh is not here with us tonight because he's on a business trip in Las Vegas.
Inverted commas, business trip in Las Vegas. Yeah, have fun doing a business. Next thing he's going to be telling us that he went shopping at the stock market. Whatever.
You know, I believe the Las Vegas part. The business trip, I'm a little bit less. So yeah, Josh isn't here tonight, so he's a slacker, and he doesn't get to have any say in anything tonight. And it's too bad because it's a big episode. Because next week's the merge. Ish thing. We don't really know what's
we don't know. We know that they're dropping their buffs. We also know that Jeff does not lie, but we also know that dating back to Thailand, we've seen goofy stuff like this.
Yep. Thailand shout out tonight, at least in imagery too. There we saw the Survivor Thailand logo.
And for anyone who listens to the Survivor podcast on Fire with Jeff, they brought up Survivor Thailand for the first time, I think, ever, because whoever wants to bring up Survivor Thailand, but it was talking about how Jeff doesn't lie, and he referenced all the way back when that was the first time that he remembers engaging in any no-do-goodery.
Yes, because, and that one technically wasn't a lie, he just, was tricksy.
Yeah, you'd be a little tricksy on that one.
Evil Jeff. That's probably the first appearance on Evil Jeff, maybe.
And we got a little bit of Evil Jeff tonight.
A little bit back Evil Jeff tonight. But we're talking about episode 5, Tiki Man, which was probably my favorite episode of the season so far.
What was really nice about this episode, and Ryan, I think you and I, this is where I think all three Castaway Consultants agree. Josh isn't here tonight, so he doesn't get a voice.
Yep.
And we're going to keep saying
that. The two Castaway Consultants that matter.
The two that matter tonight. This was just good Survivor.
Yep.
Let's just get into spoilers, but then we'll talk
spoilers.
We'll do a little preamble here, okay? So 3, 2, 1. We have a new tribe going to tribal. No battle lines have been drawn. We've had things that have been getting set up with our 90-minute episodes. We have ideas of alliances, sub-alliances, and tonight we're just going to have there's reasons to send this person, there's reasons to send this person, there are reasons not to send both of them. What's going to happen?
Yep.
You decide, and then you'll find out. This is the essence of the show. Like, this is the lifeblood, in my opinion.
This is what the average episode of Survivor should be.
Yes, and this is what I always feel like I'm sounding like a purist. And for, like, New Age defenders, New Age stands, I don't disagree with you guys that we need to be happy that we're still getting Survivor. But the lifeblood of Survivor is an episode like this, where we have one or the other, and we get to pick and then decide, and then we get to see.
I don't have to be happy about anything.
You don't have to be happy about anything, Ryan. I'm a glass half full kind of guy.
And I drank the glass. It's empty now.
Yeah, you drank the water.
Yeah, it's just empty.
but yes, this was a fantastic episode.
Very fun.
And I hope we get more like this, especially now that Yanu has snapped the losing streak and we're moving into phase 2 of this season.
Yep, get to see just something a little different, which was very, very nice. So really enjoyed the episode. Anything else before we jump into this thing, or should we just get into it?
I don't think we have anything else.
All right. On the Sega tribe, basically, Sega's going to tribal council tonight, and the crux of this episode is, can Ben pull Charlie away from the women? The answer is yes. But it's Charlie and Maria. But yeah, that's how the episode starts, is Mariah and Jem, and even Maria to an extent, are worried about Ben's charisma factor because he and Charlie are so close. And it turns out that's fair.
It's a fair thing to be scared of.
Ben is very charismatic. On Nami, we're going to get Hunter going idol hunting.
Huntering, yeah.
And Venus is going to pull the old babysitting strategy from Kara Moen. Andrea babysitting Malcolm. Dave Ball trying to babysit Russell back in Samoa. She doesn't do it for that long, just long enough to kind of mildly annoy Hunter. But eventually she's going to walk away, and Hunter's going to find the beware advantage. And again, can't do anything until they lose a challenge. They're not losing.
They're not going to lose tonight. The only thing I have to add on to this is I hope that Venus sticks around long enough to use the pun Venus flytrap.
That'd be great.
Because I feel like if she would have babysat him longer and caught him doing something, that could be, caught in Venus's flytrap, right? Like, that's the Venus flytrap.
Over on Yanu, we get Q. Q is capital Q considering quitting the game, it seems like, and like even asking to be voted out. And we're just like, what is going on? Is he having a tough time?
Well, by the way, I took a note. I'm like, get rid of punitive challenges. They haven't had good, reliable drinking water without their fire.
Yep.
But turns out this is all a part of Q's plan.
He tells us this is all a ruse. Is it? Maybe. It could be a thing where he's like, I don't know about this. And then he changed his mind, is trying to, like, say to the camera, like, no, I was just kidding. Like, was it?
He feels a little bit paddle-bally. He has his moments. His ups and his downs. He's told us, vote me out. I didn't come through in the clutch. Hunter came through. He's in the clutch.
Which is why I'm a little suspicious.
Yeah, and we're allowed to be suspicious because we have a history with it. But it was interesting that they came right back and said, I just want to make Kenzie comfortable. And then we got the conversation between Tiffany and Q back in the lean-to. Yep. So
Q basically wants to make it seem like he's going next. So Kenzie does not play her shot in the dark. So she goes next. Okay. If that's true, that's a smart play.
And even if it's not intentional, there's enough there for plausible deniability for Kenzie. Where if Kenzie is fooled, at least she had a reason to be fooled. Q has given her a reason to believe that he's willing to check out.
Yeah. And then we get a phenomenal montage sequence because Tiffany and Q are talking about Kenzie's habit of whenever she walks into a conversation, she's like, hey, what are you guys talking about? And we get like 5 quick successions in a row of Kenzie walking up going, hey, what you guys talking about?
Hey, I just want to start a dialogue. As we say, there's a lot of time on the island, but if they have enough for a supercut, it does seem like this is Kenzie's hello.
Yeah.
I don't think it's her fishing for anything in particular. I think it's an idiosyncrasy, but it could be a bit of both.
I think it's a bit of both.
I do stuff like this and I'm not even on Survivor. I'll just say, hey, what's the word? What's happening? But the fact that it was the same phrase, what are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? Is that laced with a familiar taste of poison?
Possibly.
So
over on Siga, Tim thinks someone faked the Beware advantage because they dug that giant hole in a tree. Nothing was there. They filled it in. Thank God.
They put the tree back. That's the only thing I really cared about this episode. Save the trees.
But he thinks Jem is the one who hid the Beware advantage, found it and planted a fake one. Good read by Tim. Unfortunately, he's going to go confront her, which I don't like so much. And Jem denies it. Tim doesn't fully buy it. They're really cagey with each other. They're asking each other about alliances. And they're both really cagey with each other. Neither of them trust one another.
Neither trust one another. I want to dangle this out for you, Ryan, because I thought about this moment for the entire next commercial break. Was it right for Tim to confront Jem? I think in a typical situation where a tribe has been untested, you probably want to keep that on your ammo belt. But if there's anything that we learned from tonight's episode in general, it's that Jem was a little bit chaotic.
Yeah.
So by confronting Jem, is that kind of like planting a seed in the paranoid person, the chaotic person, to get them to start sowing their own seeds of destruction?
No.
Because if Tim knows that he's already on the outs of the women and he's already in their sights, going to Maria and going to Mariah and telling them, I think Jem is the one who faked hiding the Beware advantage, why would that knock them off their spot?
Well, he thinks he's in with Maria. He thinks he's good with Maria, Charlie, and Ben, which he is, to be fair. So he doesn't actually think he's on the bottom. And by going after Jem, yeah, I guess, but it's a little too aggressive for me and just so Jem plays her idol, she could easily take out Tim. I just think it puts yourself too much in Jem's crosshair, so I don't like this for Tim.
The interesting thing, as the omnipotent beings that we are, we that Jem was already after Tim. She was already trying to plant the blame for rehiding the Beware advantage on Tim. Did that make it back to him through Charlie?
Not that we know of.
Through Maria? Through someone? If it did, I don't necessarily hate just trying to hit her with some paranoia. Like, hey, I'm going to vocalize this. I'm on to you.
But we don't know that. A little bit of fan fiction there, Derek.
It's a little bit of tinfoil hat, but hey, we're here for reckless speculation.
Right. But ultimately, I don't like the move for Tim with the information we're given. Immunity challenge. Nami's going to win because they have Hunter. But Yanu, in an amazing, slow-mo, beautifully shot and edited sequence, Yanu's going to get second place.
Oh, they had their Trinity test moment. Like, they cut the music, slow-mo, just waiting, anticipation. No matter what happens here, Ryan, this editing was beautiful.
Yes.
Can you imagine 15 seconds of super slow-mo and the bag sails high?
And then Tim gets his.
And Seiko wins.
Incredible. Incredible editing. Well done, editors. Either way, it would have been amazing.
This was a win across the board.
Yes.
So I laughed in anticipation because I realized mid slow-mo that either way, this was awesome.
Yes.
Either this is epic or it's hilarious.
So C is going to Tribal Council. They're the first time they're going, and they're the last tribe fully intact. Even Nami was a medical evacuation, but somebody from Sika is going, and so it's exciting.
We finally get to see how the lines are going to break.
But before we do that, we're going to get a journey. And Nami, they get to decide who goes. They're going to pick Hunter, and then both Tim and Q volunteer. They ask for volunteers. Tim and Q say, hey, we'll go. So they're going to go.
It's interesting because if Nami gets the say, but then you get vocal volunteers, because they offered it up. Any volunteers? Yeah. I don't hate this at this point.
If you're going to ask for volunteers, go for it. And honestly, it's not a bad move because you don't piss anybody off at this stage in the game. You don't ruffle any feathers that way.
I like it because you know a merge is coming. So by trying to pick on weak spots, you might be building more bad blood. Yep. This is kind of an opportunity to at least remain neutral with your opponents moving into the next phase of the game.
And hopefully the desperate person in the bottom raises their hand the quickest, and you can pick them, and that might cause some chaos.
And it's interesting. Tim goes.
Yep. But Hunter, Tim, and Q, they're all going to go on the journey. And so Q is going to pitch to them, hey, why don't the three of us, the three physical threats here, we come together, we each bring one person with us, final six, baby. And that way we don't get picked off. And they agree to do this. They're all on board. And seemingly, honestly, we all get confessionals. Like, they all seem to be, like, legitimately on board.
And maybe to hint at a little something coming at the end here, but this is a shining moment for Q. This is the first real exposure Q has had with anyone not on Yanu. And he extracted, and we know this because we're omnipotent, and if he has a good read, he'll be able to figure this out, but he extracted real information from these guys. They didn't have to give it up, and Yanu is on, Siga's going to Tribal, but Yanu's still on their heels.
Yep. Because they each bring in one person. Q obviously brings in Tiffany, and everyone knows they're close already, so that's nothing he gave away. But Tim and Hunter both revealed their number one ally.
Which Maria and
Tevin.
Yes.
So and Q wants to go along with this, but even if he doesn't, he learns something.
Exactly. I was very impressed with this by Q.
This is probably the move of the episode, I think.
I agree. I think it is.
It's not going to come into play here, but I think this is really intelligent from Q. But the test of the journey is one person gets to compete in this challenge. They get to put their survivor knowledge to the test to either win an advantage or lose their vote. Tim does not want to lose his vote because he needs it for Tribal Council tonight. And Q, he doesn't strike me as a super fan. He says as much. So Hunter is going to go on do this challenge, and Q and Tim just go back to camp. Derek, out of all the challenges in Survivor history, I think this is the one I could slam dunk win the most. Because Hunter he's given 20 Survivor season logos, and he has to put them in order. Like season 1 goes here, and season 5 is next, whatever it is. 20 seasons, put them in order, chronological order. Hunter's going to fail this and lose his vote, and I'm like, this is the easiest challenge ever. I could do this in my sleep.
Yes. And he got some mixed around, and
he only got 8 out of 20.
Granted, he put them all in a certain order. He probably only had 1 or 2 out of order, but hey, that's all it takes. It gets really messy. We did play the game, and I got seasons 35 and 37 switched around.
Yep.
I think, and honestly, if I'd had them in front of me, I think I'd have been able to figure out Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, and David versus Goliath. But you know what? It's all right. I was doing it during a commercial break. No excuses, though. He was doing it on no food.
Yep.
So I just really need to hammer home my 30s. The locations are easy, man. Once it gets into the theme seasons, it's really hard for me to remember that order. I don't know why. No clue. I know it's easy for you.
Yeah, it's cake. It's the easiest thing in my life.
Ryan, what were the names of the tribes on season 14?
Oh, season 14.
Starting tribes.
Fiji, Moto, and Ravu.
See,
and then the merged tribe was Bula Bula.
See, ladies and gentlemen, this is why Ryan is on the podcast.
Yeah, that is right there.
And by the way, there's no cut there. That was real time.
Yeah. All right. Enough showing off from me.
Yes, you had your moment.
I needed it because, out of all the challenges, put me on this season, Coach.
I don't think Coach has anything to do with casting. Oh. I wish he did, though. That could be fun.
Coach probably knows a couple of characters. So back at camp, Siga's going to go looking for her idol because she has the Beware advantage. They lost the challenge. She can go try and get her idol. She's got to do some crazy math. She's got to get measurements using a machete. What's a pace?
What is a pace?
From the tribe flag, their boat, and their water well.
Yep, their tree mail.
Tree mail. And she does it. She does manage to get it and gets her idol X amount of paces in a certain direction away and gets it without being caught. So Jem has an idol. What could go wrong?
Ryan, I just want to point out, you said crazy math is 12 times 2 plus 4.
That part's not the crazy part. It's like the measurements they asked for was kind of crazy.
I suppose.
Like when they first read it, I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, machete, that sounds like some monarchy era Europe measurement unit nonsense.
What are we going to measure with stones next?
Yeah, stones and feet.
Yes.
What is a pace?
Yeah, what is a pace?
What is a machete?
28 machetes away from your starting point. What? But no, Jem does get her idol, so good for her. The girls talk, and their plan is to put 2 votes on Tim, 3 votes on Ben, using the extra vote and Charlie, and make that happen. Charlie doesn't want Ben to go, though.
By the way, before we move off of this, I like this early plan from Maria because it burns the advantage and takes the target off of her back. Because this is her first opportunity to use it, so as a draft 1 plan, no matter how Charlie and Maria choose to break, I like this plan.
Yeah, this is a good idea, just to make sure you're safe. What is funny is Tim's going to get back from the challenge or from the journeys. He'll be like, yeah, I couldn't play. Didn't get to play. He tells the complete honest truth. And Jem doesn't believe it, which is just, people are going to believe what they want to believe on Survivor a lot of the time.
Well, and I think a lot of times, it's not 100% like a correlate here, but Jem is, in my opinion, the most chaotic player on Siga.
Yeah.
And she's the one who's also least trustworthy because she's done some shady things. And she's the one who doesn't believe Tim, or at least she's the one that the edit tells us does not believe Tim. It's the only one we saw.
Yep.
We need to take note of this kind of thing. If someone doesn't believe you when you're telling the full truth, and it's this kind of non-belief, let's think about why. What are you doing that's so shady?
But Jem, she's a little nervous about Ben and Tim and what they have. So she's going to try and gather information from both of them. Little confrontational. Ben is uncomfortable with this.
She's holding the machete. This is some real Matt from Amazon energy. Sing.
So Ben and Tim, they want Jem out. She's a little aggressive, playing a little hard. So they're going to try and pull in, obviously, Charlie and then Maria to take out Jem because Ben does not have a vote. And he told them he doesn't know if he's going to have a vote.
Right.
And so he keeps that going. He's like, let's pretend I don't have a vote.
I don't know,
but let's pretend I don't. I like that from Ben.
Yes.
He gets to have his cake and eat it too.
Yes.
So yeah, they just play like, let's pretend I don't have a vote. We'll figure this out.
Yes.
You 3 vote for Jem and throw the extra vote on there, and we'll be good. Love it.
This is as good of a pitch and as good of a setup as you could have had if you're Ben, especially because he knows he has no vote.
Yeah. The only way I think this could have been any better maybe is if you split between Jem and Mariah, because you still have 4. You could have gotten away with a split here, do a 2, and it would end up being a 2-2-2. But I guess you're worried about extra votes. Who knows what everybody else has? So it's fine.
Or shots in the dark. And if you only have so much time, like the other thing is if you try and split, whenever you try and split something like that, Maria might be like, I'm willing to cut Jem here, but I don't want to cut Mariah if I don't have to. So I'd rather leave her out than leave her out and target her.
Sure.
It's more of a all or nothing here.
Yeah. This way you can try and pull Mariah back in.
Yes.
No votes were cast on her.
Yes.
You're like, we just didn't trust Jem. It had nothing to do with you.
Or we didn't have time. We was too close to tribal. We were figuring this out last minute. We
now,
were
Mariah,
idols.
don't buy that for a second.
No, but at least, again, in Survivor, you have to balance plausible deniability with the full truth and try and use that to build broken bridges.
Yes. So really this is up to Charlie and Maria, what they want to do. Do they want to take out Ben or Jem? And Derek, you and I were talking before Tribal Council.
Yeah, we're the commercial break right beforehand.
About who's going home and what's the right move. And going in before the vote, before Tribal Council, I said that whoever they vote out is the right move. Because they know more than us, obviously. And so I think this is a case of whoever you trust more, vote out the other person. So I'm just going to, no matter what they do here, I'm going to trust that they made the right move.
Yes. And I came back because this was a good episode of Survivor. We had, leading into the Tribal Council episode, we had a choice. Jem or Ben. And I said, based on all the information that we have, and they might not know this, it should probably be Jem. Because she's playing much more chaotic. She's willing to sow seeds of distrust. Even though we understand historically in Survivor, it's better to have a unified starting tribe with numbers moving into any kind of merge situation. So for those reasons that they may not know, Jem is probably the right move, but they were starting to see cracks of it. So if Maria and Charlie are able to see that with Jem,
Siga that?
Siga that, yeah. Siga that with Jem, then they should probably flop over and take out Jem at this point. But ultimately, like you said, if they were to come back and vote Ben on this, I would say, okay, they assessed that the long-term threat of Ben's charisma, and they felt that maybe it was too far gone. He has to go now.
Yep.
So ultimately, I would have agreed with him either way. But going into Tribal, I thought Jem would be the right move.
Yeah, and I was leaning. I thought Jem was the right move, but I thought Ben was going home.
Sure.
And but ultimately, it's going to be 4 votes for Jem because Maria plays her extra vote. Ben can't vote. 2 votes for Ben. Right move, just because it is.
Yep. Oh, and by the way, we got that nice little that vote of confidence from Jem pretty early on, saying, "I have my idol, and now it's pretty solidly Ben or Tim."
Yep.
Which is, I mean,
don't say that, Jim.
It's not necessarily the clock striking midnight, but like that's bait.
You just set yourself up for failure.
That's bait for the Survivor gods, and it's an editor's dream.
Yep.
I can't wait to slip this in.
So we both agree it was the right move, and normally this is where we would ask Twitter what they thought, but Josh, our social media expert, the only one of us who like at least kind of likes social media, I think. I don't want to slander him too much if that's not true. Anyway, our Twitter guy, Josh, is not here.
Our official Twitter man is not here.
Because neither you and I have Twitter on our phones.
Nope.
So there wasn't really a way for us to tweet out.
Nope. I wish there was more to say, but you know what? Here's a chance for a shameless plug. Social media is generally evil, but we're awesome. So
follow us and no one else on Twitter.
Follow us and hang out with your friends in real life.
Yep.
And if you get a text message today, ignore it and call them back. Call them on the phone.
Social media is the devil. Generally, just follow us.
It's the greatest evil that humanity is currently trying to overcome.
At Castaway Pod.
Oh my gosh, what a dichotomy. Social media is the devil, and if you agree, follow us at Castaway Pod. I like our followers. I hate social media, the construct. Yeah.
All right, Derek, let's get into best and worst player of the episode.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll start us off with our best player. I'm going to give my best player to Q. I really liked his, if it's real, and as far as we know, it's real, but his playing dead strategy to get Kenzie lower regard. It's not going to come into play here, but he's thinking ahead. And then on the journey, he made that alliance with Hunter and Tim and got a little bit of information out of them as well about who their closest ally is. So Q's my best player of the episode.
I agree that it's Q. I want to make sure that I give Ben his flowers for dodging what could have been an easy death. He had no vote through no fault of his own. He didn't choose to go on the journey.
Yep.
And he didn't choose to draw the rock. He did both, and he ended up losing his vote. He navigated it perfectly. We had dividends paid on that. I think the big difference is that Q did a lot of things in this episode, whereas with Ben's situation, Jem played herself out of a good spot, I think.
Yeah. And Ben's personality is what did it for that.
Yes.
So he has great personality.
Yes. Which, by the way, I feel like this is a good time, revisit episode 1. I said that Ben has one of those really big personalities that, depending on how your tribe dynamic goes and depending on how the challenge situations go, could become grating after a while. It doesn't seem like anybody is soured on Ben at all to this point. So to his credit, he is reading that room seemingly really well, and power to him. I only wanted to bring up the possibility that he might be grating after an amount of time, but that's not happening.
Big personalities can get grating. Not always, but they can.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it happen a little bit with Soda on Nami. Granted, that's also a mixture of her like overplaying her hand and like having too many conversations, but we did see next week on Survivor that Liz does not like Soda. I wonder what's going on there. So kudos to Ben, but Q gets best.
Yes. Derek, who do you got for worst player?
You know what? There's not a lot here.
There's not much here.
I feel like everyone did as well as they could have given the situation. I only landed on Mariah because she found out that she was on the other side of the vote. Tim built himself a new alliance, even if he was kind of on the outs and kind of on the chopping block. Like, I know Ben was the primary target, but Tim was kind of on the outs. Ben was kind of on the outs. They worked their way back in. Maria, you could say, lost a closer alliance member than Charlie. Like, maybe Charlie kind of got the whoop-de-wop, but they made that decision together, and they decided what was best for their game. I'm going to trust them on that. I got really nothing for Nami. Like, I mean, Venus is still on the bottom, but she didn't play poorly.
No, she was just...
So... Mariah, just for no other reason than she found out she was on the bottom.
By default. And as a reminder, we don't give these awards out to the person who's eliminated, because otherwise it'd probably be Jem for worst.
Yeah.
But she's not eligible. So yeah, it's Mariah by default just because she was on the wrong side of the vote.
Yeah, this is not bad Survivor play today. No. It's more of, hey, we're going to pick somebody.
Net negative, but not by much.
Yeah.
Barely below 0. All right. Well, since this is the end of the pre-merge, this is where we have to do our specialty, the best and worst player of the pre-merge. And as a reminder, the 5 people who have been eliminated so far are not eligible. So we cannot give this to Jelinski, Jess, Randon. I know we all want to give best player to Randon.
Yes.
Or Banu. Or now Jem. So none of them are eligible. It's the final, what are we at? 10, 13? So there's 13 people left. So those are the only people eligible. I'll start us off with best player of the pre-merge. I think I have to go with someone from the disastrous Yanu tribe, just because they basically had their own season start. They already got down to their final 3. So I feel like I have to pick someone from them, and Tiffany's clearly the best player from that group.
I'm going to go to Siga, because we officially have tested battle lines on Siga. If Yanu would have gone today and Kenzie or Q gone home, I think I would have had to pick Tiffany, because now you've basically done phase 1 of the Mat Sing.
Yep.
But we have battle lines on Siga. Charlie and Maria made their choice. Their sub-alliance between the men faction and the women faction, it paid off. They made their choice. Maria bested Jelinski on the island, the Mystery Adventure Island early on to get her extra vote, and is in a really strong spot going forward. She is not seen as the mother character. She's actively working against that title. So I'm going to go with Maria simply because you're on a strong, unified tribe that calls themselves the Vibe Tribe. You didn't place any votes on Mariah, so you have a chance to bring her back in. You have a connection with Tevin by going on Mystery Adventure Island with Tevin. So Maria has a lot of options, and she's on a good, functional tribe. So I'm going with Maria.
Maria's my honorable mention.
Yep.
Derek, who do you have for worst player of the pre-merge?
This is honestly another hard one because I don't want to pick anybody from Yanu. They have gone through the gauntlet with some pretty odd situations. I'm landing on Liz, and it's only because of what we've seen of her social game. It's because episode 1, I made her my who cannot win, and she's come off for exactly 1 episode and is right back on there. I think the worst thing that you can do in the pre-merge is find yourself in a position where you can't win, especially on a season where one tribe didn't go to tribal, one tribe went to one tribal, and the other tribal has 3 competent players left. So I have Liz.
I went down the same thought process as you, and I'm going to give Liz a dishonorable mention. I'm also going to give Soda a dishonorable mention for probably playing too hard. But my pick is Venus, just because she seems to be less well-liked than Liz is, and is playing more badly where Liz is more neutral. Is the way I see it. Again, there's nobody terrible here because they're all gone already. Jess and Banu are out of the game. So Venus is my worst player of the pre-merge.
Yep, I'm not going to try and move you off that spot. She was one of my finalists for that honorable distinction.
Dishonorable distinction?
Yeah.
So this is where we check in with our winner picks, and it's a little tricky tonight, but we'll get to Josh last. So my winner pick was Mariah. I'm stuck with Mariah. And I'm having a little bit of buyer's remorse here. A little Jay Byers remorse. Dumb. If I could switch, I'm not allowed to switch, but if I could, I would switch to Tiffany. She just seems woefully competent.
Mm-hmm.
Not woefully incompetent. Woefully competent.
Woefully competent.
Yeah.
Just, so she's so competent that she's having a hard time.
Yeah.
Well, this is the problem with having too much game intelligence and no tools to work with.
So I would pick Tiffany if I could, but I am stuck with Mariah. Derek, your winner pick was Maria.
Yeah.
Still in the game?
Yes.
Stuck with her?
Yes.
If you could switch, would you?
I don't think I would. I think there are enough question marks out there. I want someone who has played competently, who has a strong edit, who has options. I haven't seen Maria take a true misstep yet, and I think she remains in a good spot. So, call it pride or whatever, but I'm not going to move off Maria at this point. If I were to move off of Maria, it would be between Tiffany or Hunter. Okay. If I were to visit one on each tribe of the opposing tribes, but I'm going to stick with Maria.
Okay. Josh, his winner pick was Jem. But he's not here to make a new winner pick. He hasn't even watched the episode yet. We don't know what Josh is going to do. He does get to pick a new winner pick here.
He's not even in our time zone.
Yeah, he's not even in our time zone right now. We're going to see West Coast time zone right now. He's Pacific.
I believe Vegas is Pacific and not Mountain. I don't remember.
Yeah, he's 2 hours behind us. Yeah. So when Josh, we'll probably make him. I don't want to put spoilers out there, but we'll have Josh post his stuff on Twitter, like his best and worst and all this stuff. We'll have him post it. at some point before the next episode.
Yeah, maybe post it next Wednesday morning or next Tuesday evening.
We'll find a time to do it.
And maybe we'll have him lead off the next episode. Like, we'll go through our preamble of the merge episode, but then we'll, before we get into the episode proper, if we remember, we'll have Josh maybe give his new winner pick.
Yeah, that's the big one, because he's got to have one. But yeah, Josh is out. First one to lose the winner pick of the season. He's got to pick a new one. We don't know what it is yet. Neither does he.
First out of Survivor pool, first to lose his winner pick.
Yeah, Josh sucks.
Josh is having a heck of a season.
First one to miss the episode of the season.
Wow. Look at the demerits pile up.
Look at Josh.
5 points from Hufflepuff, man.
Okay, so that's winner picks. So let's get into who is going next. Now that the merge is coming up, we only have to do one of these. So who is going next? So Derek, who is going next?
Me, oh my, what a crapshoot. When something like this happens, I almost feel like we're close enough to have a functional Matt Singh vote. For right now, I think it's going to be Nami versus Siga. And I think someone from one of those two tribes is going to go first. I think that Nami really is itching to take someone out because at least Siga's been to tribal. Randon got pulled. I think it's going to be Soda. I think they're going to be okay with letting Soda go in the name of getting past this merge situation, let everything settle a little bit, and then move into a merge proper and try and orchestrate something from there. So I have Soda. There's really no reason for it other than a little bit of the edit, maybe a little bit of the next time on Survivor, not really, but just understanding that it's probably Nami versus Siga.
Derek, great minds think alike. Literally, I could not have said it better myself. All the same reasoning. I have Soda going next.
That's fascinating.
Yep, I completely agree.
That's weird, but hey, you know what? We'll take it.
Also, since we're going into the merge, the Who Can't Win segment changes a little bit. Now there's 2 people who cannot win this game.
But I want to add something here.
Yes.
Because we have the pin in the possible final 2, we need to do this in order. So
okay, Who Can't Win, you name 2, and then in a final 2, who of those 2 win?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we think there might be a surprise final 2 this season. We'll see.
Yes.
I do like this, though. So I'll kick us out this time. Who are the 2 people who cannot win this game? I would say they are Venus and Liz at this point. If we have a final 2 between Venus and Liz, boy, that's tough. That's tough, man. Edit-wise, it tells me Venus. But based on just what we've seen, it seems like it would be Liz. So like I said, they can't win this game. Neither of them can win. But if they were to go to the end, I would probably say Venus because she's done more.
I feel like this is going to turn into a groupthink podcast, but I have Venus and Liz as well. When you have 2 people in the final 2, both who are kind of in those particular chairs, I think the money is going to go to the person who didn't brag about being rich. So, and the other thing is that Venus's true path to the end here is one that's going to be forged at least by a few steps of her own.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Liz's path to the end is one that's going to be forged by her. I think it's going to be forged by other people.
Venus is more likely to take swings.
Yes.
And is what it's going to take for her to
Yes.
win.
And in a final 2 between those 2, it'll be who played the game better. So even if I think that Liz has a marginally better social game, I do think by bragging about how rich you are, you almost disqualify yourself amongst a group of
pretty much
baseline likable people.
Last thing we're going to check in on is our Survivor pool. We both survived another round. I had Charlie, and you had...
And I had Mariah.
So they both make it through. So yeah, we're Josh is out of this, so it's just between me and Derek. We have to pick someone who we think is going to survive this episode, this crapshoot, and we can't pick somebody we have already picked. So Derek, start us off. Who have you picked so far, and who's your new pick?
So far, I have picked Q, Liz, Charlie, and Mariah. Going into a merge situation or a come-together situation where we don't know what's going to happen, this is exactly why I've been saving people with hardware. Mm-hmm. So I was either going to pick Tiffany or I was going to pick someone who had the idol. Obviously, Jem went home. Hunter found the Beware advantage, and he did say there's a clause in there that if you make it to a merge, having not unlocked your box, you will get your task. If Hunter finds out that he's in trouble, he doesn't care if it's public. Yeah. He's going to go get this idol. I am picking Hunter as my guaranteed not to go home this time.
Okay. All right. Bold move. I'm going to kind of go the opposite direction and pick the person that's like, why would anyone target them? And I'm going to pick Liz.
I probably would have picked someone like Liz this time around, but I already used her. So
it's certainly possible. So here's who I picked so far. I had Tiffany, Maria, Tevin, and Charlie, so I can't pick any of them. I don't think any of our picks have gone home from either side yet.
Yeah, it's rough.
I'm actually okay with this because this means we're still on an even playing field.
Right. It's tough.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Liz just because I can't see a reason for anyone to target her. So yeah, we will see what happens. It'll be interesting.
Josh is our banker, but he'll have to take tally of this later.
Yep.
This is what you get, Josh.
Derek. Anything else?
I don't think so. Small update on Spotify. I couldn't post a question again this last week, so that feature seems to be bugging on and bugging off, so I'm going to keep on trying for you guys. My apologies. But in terms of the episode, note to the editors, because we know you're a big fan of this podcast. We love this.
Yep. Editors doing great work.
Stay right here. And by the way, I want to give them their flowers. Some of the creative editing choices this season have been phenomenal. I loved the Yanu slow-mo today. I love slipping in that little bit from Jem, which is just classic Survivor saying, like, it's Tim or it's Ben.
The supercut of Kenzie.
Supercut of Ken. We always love the supercut. We need a supercut in every season.
Well, you can follow us on Twitter at Castaway Pod. We mentioned that earlier. Check us out on YouTube. What do we got? TikTok, Facebook, Castaway Consultants.
Yep, Threads. Josh is on now as well.
Yeah. I keep forgetting Threads exists.
I try and post Spotify questions when the feature is working. And if it comes up 4 days later, I don't even typically bother at that point.
Check out my blog on the website. That'll be up just after the podcast drops. Yeah. Anything else, Derek?
Not tonight.
All right. This was a fun one.
This was fun.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Josh will be back next week and we'll have more fun.
It's always more fun with the three of us.
Hell yeah. All right. This has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good night.